What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, just when you thought the Bulls were going to get over the hump and just actually try and revive their season, excel in their NBA season, 2 games in which they should have won, they have absolutely dropped, and yet again we're talking about another wasted opportunity as the Bulls lose to the OKC Thunder. We'll be talking about all of this in this video, but before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the player of the game and your overall thoughts and your overall thoughts and opinions on the Bulls' performance. We lost this game 124 to 110, and there is a lot to get through here. Remember back at the beginning of that difficult stretch that we had, obviously the 2 Cavs games, the Boston game, the Brooklyn game, the Philly game, the Utah game. That was one of our toughest stretches in the NBA season, and we flourished during that stretch. We beat some of the best teams the NBA could possibly give to us, and we played some amazingly solid basketball. And then you thought, okay, the toughest stretch of our season is now behind us. We've got to focus on a couple of winnable games that the Bulls have. Wizards without Bradley Beal and Porzingis. OKC with almost 5 players out of their team. And future games to come. And all of a sudden, we're back where we started. 5 games below 500. Disappointing Chicago Bulls. Comeback Chicago Bulls. Going down 18 points in the first half and trying to fight back Chicago Bulls. And everything in between. And the same problems that we saw at the beginning of this season has still managed to rear its ugly head. And at the end of the day, we're seeing these same problems now halfway through the season. And I'm sorry, this team cannot remain consistent if they're going to keep on dropping these types of games. These are the games that we should be winning. With DeMar DeRozan, without DeMar DeRozan, I don't care. This OKC Thunder side had so many other guys injured. Washington had 2 of their best players injured. We should still easily have enough to beat this OKC side. Yet, we're talking about a second straight loss to the OKC Thunder, and they have now won the season series over us. I don't know what else to say. It's really an embarrassing performance by the Chicago Bulls team at home once again. I think it's incredibly disrespectful to the fact that they can beat some of the best teams and yet they deliver this type of effort and this type of display, especially on the defensive end in this game against OKC and in the last game against the Washington Wizards as well. I think they're incredibly disrespectful towards the Bulls fans, giving us that false hope and then underperforming in these other games as well. But that's been the story all season long. Beat the good teams, can't beat the bad teams. And I don't know how that is actually an issue that we have. I can't understand why that's an issue that we had. Last season we didn't have that issue. And now all of a sudden we have that issue, and I just feel like it's an effort issue. I feel like it's a heart issue. I feel like it's a lack of awareness issue. I don't know if the Bulls think that they're better than they are. I don't know if they think they're an elite team in the Eastern Conference and they can just not necessarily play to the highest level against the lower caliber teams and still win. I don't know what their problem is, but I'm starting to think now that these Bulls players and this Bulls team thinks they're better than they actually are. And then they're slacking off against teams that don't have any expectation, that don't have any real, ambition, but will fight. Because they're young and they want to develop. And these are the teams that we're losing to. Teams that actually want to fight and teams that actually care about their wins and losses more than the Bulls do. I feel like these teams, the lower caliber teams, the teams that are considered as tanking teams, are fighting harder because they actually care more than the Chicago Bulls. I don't know any other way to explain it. Because talent-wise, we've got the talent. We got more talent than these teams that we're losing to. Simple as that. Don't think anyone can dispute that. We've got more wins against the better teams than some of these guys as well. So it has to be effort. It has to be a lack of care. And I'm sorry, that is something that can't be forgotten about by this Bulls team. It's really, again, I feel like this is a disrespectful performance. I feel like they've been disrespecting the fans with underwhelming performances against these teams. And unfortunately, I think Billy Donovan said it best in one of his post-game press conferences. You can't worry about who's out for the Chicago Bulls. We don't have that luxury. But it feels like this Bulls team thinks it has that luxury, because that's a disrespectful performance in my humble opinion. It's embarrassing how we've been losing to some of these teams. And I can't believe that we've seen so many confidence boosting victories by this Bulls team to then roll over and just turn on its back and completely go against every single possible detail that actually got us in those victories. So again, I'm lost for words. I'm truly stunned, and I'm so annoyed with this Bulls team right now. And again, if they can't beat these bad teams consistently, the one thing that I always thought is that losing to the bad teams would not be sustainable. You would eventually find ways to beat these teams, because at the end of the day, their direction is probably heading towards tanking. Towards the second half of the season, you will see more efforts to actually try to lose these games by some of these teams. But we're still finding ways to lose. It almost feels like we're trying to tank, but we're beating the good teams to show that we're good. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel about this Bulls team. I'm still so grateful that we won so many of those games, but at the same time, I'm embarrassed that we can't seem to pick it up on a consistent basis. And the easiest schedule that we have coming up, we're considered one of the lightest schedules in the NBA, is now the schedule that I have to be the most fearful of, because we can't pick it up against lower caliber teams. That's how this season is going. I'm scared that we have an easy schedule. That's, again, I think that speaks to everything. There are a couple of things I need to say. A lot of people said that DeMar DeRozan being out would be a blessing in disguise for this team, because you're going to have Zach LaVine run the helm of this team and, I guess, be the leader that we want him to be. I think that experiment is over, in all honesty. No disrespect to Zach LaVine intended here. He's had a terrific stretch of games, but I feel like this Bulls performance especially reminds me of the Bulls performances without DeMar DeRozan 2 years ago, where Zach LaVine is carrying the load for this team on a constant, regular basis, and no one else is really helping him to that point. And again, we're just losing a lot of games that we should be winning. This reminds me of when we were tanking with Zach LaVine and Vucevic. The same year we made that trade and we lost a lot of games that maybe we thought we could have won, but we excused it because Vucevic just joined the team. That's exactly how I felt in this game. And what I mean by that, I'm talking more about last game than this game, because Zach LaVine I don't think was great in this game at all. But when Zach LaVine has been carrying the load without DeMar DeRozan, that's truly how I felt. It felt like we were tanking, we had a lot of players that weren't willing to step up, and Zach LaVine had to carry the load. But this game, complete opposite, of course. I understand that Zach LaVine was actually not necessarily the best, and other guys had to pick up the slack for him. I get it. But I just think that this experiment with Zach LaVine alone will not work. It just will not work. You need someone next to Zach LaVine that is willing to do the same things and maybe do it a little bit better than Zach LaVine. I'm not saying DeMar DeRozan is the go-to guy for our future. I'm not saying that. Here's what I am saying. This experiment of just Zach LaVine or just DeMar DeRozan is gone. In my opinion, you need both of them to play. And if we're ever going to trade DeMar DeRozan, you need to get an all-star caliber player back in that trade, because that's the only way I'm going to see us competing. If we trade DeMar DeRozan for a couple of role players and a couple of, I guess, picks, we're going to start tanking, in my opinion. We will not be good enough as a team to be successful without those two players playing, or if you're going to trade one of them, you need to bring an all-star level player back. That's how I feel. That's honestly what I think about this Bulls situation. Because we've seen it without Zach LaVine. Remember, Zach LaVine had his knee issues and whatnot, and DeMar DeRozan had to carry the load. We won a couple of games, but we lost some easy games as well. Simple as that. When DeMar DeRozan has been out and Zach LaVine's had to carry the load, Zach LaVine looked good against the Wizards, but he obviously did not look great in the OKC Thunder game, and we've lost both of those games. Maybe they don't play well together, but we need both of them, and it's as simple as that. So, until one of those guys gets traded, we get an all-star caliber player back, and we switch the, I guess, identity of this team up a little bit more, you need both of them to play. And for both of them to play, they both have to remain healthy, so really, I'm hoping DeMar DeRozan gets better soon, because as much as a lot of people wanted to see Zach LaVine hold the reins of this team, Statistically, he looks good, but I don't think he's getting a lot of other players actually to be better as well. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I think about the whole situation of Zach LaVine being the leader of this team right now. It is what it is. We got to move on from this situation. I'm just so embarrassed that this is the Bulls team that I'm watching after one of their best stretches in the NBA. 8 out of our last 12 games that we've won, and now we're back to a 3-game losing streak. Oh my goodness, we're on a 3-game losing streak. I almost forgot about it. Boston, we lost to. Wizards, we lost to. And OKC, we lost to. We're back to a 3-game losing streak. We're back to 5 games below 500. And it's, again, I truly feel like they're disrespecting these Bulls fans. I feel disrespected. That's how I feel about this performance. Looking at the must improve, Ayo Dosunmu, I think, is the easy choice here. 2 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists in 23 minutes of action. He had 3 turnovers in this game. I believe that's the highest on this Bulls team. Actually, no, Vucevic had 4. So, second highest on this Bulls team. He had the worst plus minus on the team as well. Just a bad game from Ayo. Again, I was saying to one of my friends as well, look, I love Ayo as much as the next guy, and I even said it about Zach LaVine as well, but we played better when both those guys were on the bench. And as soon as those 2 guys came on, turnover city, turnover galore, not all their fault to be fair, but they definitely played a part in it, and we looked a lot worse with those 2 on the floor, in my opinion. The player of the game for me, I'm going to give it to Kobe White. Off the bench, 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. Only had 1 turnover in this game, and I believe he's the only player that had a positive plus-minus on this team off of our bench, except for, obviously, Dalen Terry, who got, what, 30 seconds, 56 seconds of game. So, another thing I feel disrespected about, the fact that Dalen Terry cannot get minutes even when we have a bunch of injuries on this team and guys are just not playing. So again, there are so many things that I feel disrespected by this Bulls team, and that's the key word here. I feel disrespected. Anyway, Bulls are 5 games below 500 now. What are we, 19 and 24, I believe. And our next game is against the Golden State Warriors. Now, I don't know the injury record behind Golden State. I believe they beat the Spurs today, so there you go. But at the same time, my focus is going to be on the rest of the season, of course, and the Warriors is a team that usually just completely destroys the Chicago Bulls. Realistically, the last couple of games we've had against them, either we've lost closely or we've got blown out, and most of the time we have got blown out. Again, we'll have to wait and see how that goes, but again, I feel incredibly embarrassed about this performance, and it seems like it's a constant thing. And before I go, for any OKC Thunder fans that are out there, man, I really respect the way that your team plays. I wish in some ways the Bulls players had a little bit more of that heart and that grittiness and that, I guess, confidence that OKC had in this game. I wish that we had that level of confidence about our team, because I don't feel confident about this team. And as young as your team is, as sometimes inexperienced as your team is, you fight so hard in games, and I think the Bulls don't do that enough. I think they fight, especially against the good teams. They have to fight. It's the only way they're going to beat the good teams. But when we're versing other teams, we don't fight. It feels like we have no fight in us when we're versing teams that are tanking teams. And until we figure that out, because that's our problem. That's our big problem. We can't beat tanking teams. Until we figure that out, inconsistent Bulls, comeback Bulls, call them whatever you like, they're going to keep on disappointing. So, wait and see what happens in the next game, and the game after that, and the game after that. I think we need DeMar DeRozan back as soon as possible. I can't wait to see him return, and hopefully the performances of those two will help us in these types of environments when we need buckets and we need some fights. I think both of them together, they may not play well together, but we need both of them to play. Simple as that. Even if you put Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan as far away from each other in terms of minutes as possible, we still need both of them. We need both of their points. We need both of their abilities. And one of them that misses a game, we're in trouble every step of the way. So we'll wait and see. Again, I just want to see DeMar DeRozan back. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Disappointed, flustered, every sense of the word. Have a wonderful and safe day. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.